Hey everybody, Sean here from Somm Wine Club, and I have got some wine for you. This is the 2019 Weingut Heinrich Pannobile. This is a red blend from Burgenland in Austria, part of the August 2024 Somm Wine Club box. And a little bit of a unique one. Pannobile is a producer association. It was founded in 1994 by 7 wineries, later joined by 2 other wineries, centered in the town of Gols in the Niederslee in kind of North Burgenland. And Heinrich's one of the founding members. When I was in Austria in 2018, we had a tasting in Niederslee, like on the slopes of the Leiteberg Mountains, with a whole bunch of the producers from Pannobile, and that was where I was first introduced to Heinrich, along with producers like Klaus Preisinger, who I featured in the Wine Club before, Judith Beck, Renner Sisters, Pitnauer. These are all members of the Pannobile. The stated goal when they founded was to create a representation of Burgenland from traditional varieties, and to also exchange ideas and elevate the region's wines. This is in the mid-90s when Austria was going through somewhat of a renaissance. Its international reputation had been tarnished by things that happened before that. And so it was really important to producers to get the quality wine message across. And they absolutely have done that. And so now, into the 30th year of the Pannobile, I am really happy to be able to share this wine with everybody. So Heinrich is a biodynamic organic producer in Burgenland, obviously. And this particular Pannobile, of which each producer is only allowed to make 1 white and 1 red per year, and it has to go through a very, very rigid tasting panel of all of the members. Everybody has to agree, yes, this is a Pannobile wine. This is a wine that represents the region. It has traditional grape varieties. It's got the characteristics that we're looking for, and it is. We all accept unanimously that this wine can be Pannobile. So this is 60% Zweigelt, 40% Blaufränkisch, 2 of the traditional red varieties of Austria and Burgenland. This is almost an obsessive level of detail that goes into Gernot and Heike's winemaking at Weingut Heinrich. So everything's done by hand, biodynamic principles. They're doing sprays and teas according to the lunar calendar. Everything's picked by hand, basket pressed, and then into large neutral oak casks, big 500-liter casks for aging after fermentation for 31 months. So it has an opportunity to take on a little bit of depth and width, and Zweigelt and Blaufränkisch do handle oak, but there have been times in the past where lots of new oak gets used to try and make them into bigger wines, and I feel like neutral oak is a better choice for the majority of what Zweigelt and Blaufränkisch offer in terms of flavor and characteristics. Now you notice it's not open yet. Usually I already have the bottle corvined before I start these tastings, because I like to be able to keep the bottles after I do my tasting so that I have an opportunity to make some food with them. But this is a Vino lock, so no corvin is getting through there. And I have only had a Vino lock once or twice before in a box, so just a refresher for everybody on how to open one of these capsules, and you'll see what I mean when I open it. So first thing is that there's two lips here. You have this middle one, which seems like the place that you should cut. It's a wider lip, and you can if you want to, but that's where the seal is. So my advice is to go down to the lower lip and kind of use the knife on your corkscrew, or if you have one of those foil cutter things, you can use that, and just press up and around all the way to get the cut of the foil. Once the foil's loose, I already loosened this one just to make it easier, you can give a little cut up with your knife, and then you can use your knife to kind of peel the foil away from the bottle. In a restaurant, you would never use your fingers, but if you want to do that at home, there's no problem. Foil comes off cleanly, and then you can see what I'm talking about. This is glass. So Vinolock is a little rubber seal, silicone seal on the inside of a glass capsule. And I've had people be like, I have no idea how to open this. What am I supposed to do? Literally, the easiest thing to do is just take your two thumbs, hold the bottle by the neck, and just push. Ding! Pops right off. Super easy, clean, and then it can actually go back on and seal again. Obviously, it's not an airtight seal, so it will oxidize, just like any other closure. Once its bottle's opened, oxygen gets in. But let's pour a taste and see what we think of the 2019 Pannobile. This wine has a lot of really expressive dark fruit right off the palate, or right off the nose, rather. It's got this kind of like wild black cherry, black raspberry, slightly underripe black plum. There's a definite like meaty kind of animalistic character to this wine. It has some gaminess to it, which is very much in Heinrich's style and works really well with the style of food that would traditionally be served in the region, which we'll talk about later. But there's this kind of really nicely rounded fruit character. It's not underripe, it's not jammy, but it's just like someone's got like fresh berries and fruit that they're offering up to you. There's an herbaceous kind of foresty note to this wine as well. So fruit first, that kind of meaty, gamey note to the second, and then kind of as the wine starts to open up a little bit, you get some of this like dried underbrush, like forest leaves, twigs and sticks, and like walking through a dry forest trail. Obviously, we're not smelling any oak because the oak that they're using is all neutral and old, so it's not giving any oak flavor, but the texture and the palate on this wine is where oak is going to have an impact. It's zippy. It's got lots of like energetic life to it. It's got a ton of refreshing character. Temperature is going to be a big role in how that is perceived as well. If you had this at room temperature, it would be a little bit rounder and broader in your mouth. I pulled this out of the wine fridge. It's probably sitting at about 13 right now, so could go even a little bit cooler, especially if you want to highlight that freshness and that bright fruit character. Tannins are soft. They're very silky. They don't have much in the way of grip or bite here. They're very like almost powdery, the tannins, which is great like textural kind of description, because it does kind of feel like you've just been lightly dusted with this tannin powder on your tongue and on the sides of your mouth. There's no really nice like spice notes that come out on the palate as well. You don't get so much of that on the nose, but there's a little bit of like pink peppercorn spice, like dried spices, maybe a little touch of star anise or cinnamon, but it's not sweet in the way that you get like sweet spices from oak. It's just kind of like savory spice. And since I didn't Coravin it, I can actually pour myself a which I never get to do. This wine will benefit from some air and being put into a decanter. If you are trying to keep it at temperature and you're concerned about putting it into a decanter and having it warm up too quickly, put the decanter in the fridge, chill the decanter first, and then when you pour the wine from the bottle into the decanter, it's not going to warm the wine up at all. Especially if you're outside and you are eating in warm temperatures, the wine will warm up. So even an ice bucket is probably not a bad idea for keeping this wine at a cooler temperature to make sure that you preserve that fresh, really like elegant, nice, zesty character to the wine. Food wise, this wine's named Pannobile for the Pannonian Plain, which is the old name for the Roman province of Pannonia, which kind of encompassed most of Hungary, eastern Austria, part of the Czech Republic, part of Slovenia, part of Western Romania. So it's this huge kind of plain of a melting pot of cultures and foods, a lot of which was controlled by the Habsburgs during the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And so there's a lot of kind of back and forth trading of food and influences from different cultures as they kind of moved through the area. But think things with like a fairly heavy Hungarian bend to them. So like smoked sausages, goulash. They do like a really interesting goose stew in the fall in Pannonia. So these are the kinds of things you want, that richness, you want that like density of flavor. Game works really well, so venison or other game meats, elk. But you don't need anything that's like super, super heavy, rich, fatty. You can do kind of like stews or things like that where the fat's been cooked down a little bit. And playing with the spice levels in things. You don't necessarily want like spicy hot, but definitely spicy layers of flavor is going to be really interesting to draw out some of those more subtle spice notes on the palate of the wine as well. Delish, amazing, great stories, great people. I want to go back to Austria, so if anybody from the Pannobile is watching, I would love to come visit again. I'm so excited to be able to share a wine from Heinrich with everybody. I hope you enjoy the Pannobile from Weingut Heinrich, and we'll see you guys all next time.